I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea for me to play another anime-inspired dating sim. I'm sure somebody has thoughts on that. They're not here at the moment. You know, there is something very liberating about just being on the air by myself for a talk show. There's something. Oh, hey!
Hello.
Hi, DC. How are you?
Hi.
Hey! I've just been talking to myself for a half hour.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's been pretty sweet. I was I was sitting here kind of like going, it's gonna be a short episode this month. This month, I
I
did.
just got home,
Oh,
so
okay. I was sitting there thinking to myself, I did tell everybody, right? Like
yeah.
Alex doesn't have an excuse. Like I'm sure at some point he's probably gonna mosey in like way too late and kind of go, Nathan, why didn't you tell me? And it's like, dude, I've told you 3 times. What do you want from me? I can't wake you up every 5 minutes. But anyway, um, yeah, DC, how are you doing?
Doing good. Friends were taking me out to Korean barbecue for a belated birthday dinner. So
Korean barbecue. What did you have?
yeah. Oh, this place has an all-you-can-eat, and there's a little grill in front of you. So they bring out pork belly, beef, and chicken, and some vegetables.
Oh, and you just go to town.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great. I'm mostly used to like regular barbecue. What is it about Korean barbecue that's so enticing?
The way they have their meat prepared and
Mm-hmm.
before they bring it to your table raw and everything and whatever however they cut it and spices used and things like that make
Oh,
it
okay.
taste pretty good. So
Oh, I imagine it does. Is it sort of like I'm used to like when they give me the teriyaki beef and stuff when I go to like a Chinese restaurant. Does like the Korean barbecue taste a little bit like that? Is it seasoned similar? Does it have that kind of a taste
it's a
or
little different than teriyaki
okay.
beef, but the size and everything is about the same. So,
Oh, okay. Okay. Very nice. Now, do you try a little bit of everything?
oh yeah, and then it was all you could eat. So once one plate's gone, they go, "What do you want more of?" And so we got more of the beef. And
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, no, obviously you go for the beef. I have seen all you can eat buffets where they were stupid people and they decided like we'll have some crab legs at the all you can eat buffet and
uh huh.
you will see like the big guys come in and they will just get a plate and all they have on it is just a giant pile of crab legs. You're like, well, there's where your profit margin went for the evening. You,
Right.
you that's what I see on so many buffets where they're like, it's a lot of chicken. It's like I get that. There's a lot of chicken, but oh man, you throw out the high per pound items out there, people are gonna stock up. Easy. There's gonna be somebody to ruin it for everyone. Um, but okay, good, good, and also happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. I'm bad. I need like a list of like the Delve crew of when people's birthdays are, so I can prepare ahead of time. But I don't have it. I don't even remember Alex's. It's sometime in December. I just go, whatever. It's it's close to Christmas. Just Merry Christmas. That's probably your birthday. It's fine. Um,
Yeah, if it wasn't for Facebook and Twitter, I wouldn't know anyone's birthday.
right. Yeah, Facebook is terrific for that because at least they'll save it, and you hope people were telling the truth. Um,
Right.
I I was trying to make notes on some of your suggestions for shows for Delve Prime. Uh, I was trying to explain it as best I could by your synopsis,
Uh huh.
but I'm a little curious as to your thought process. um, I like cave delve, like, cause our original cover art, our new cover art too, like has a cave theme to it, but actually a delve in a cave. Um, how do you see that going?
Well, poorly.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully, we're hoping for cave monsters
cave
or
monsters. Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, now I can't think of the horror movie, but there was one where they went in a cave and there were these like grayish beings that were all couldn't see, but
Oh, I don't think
ate everyone one by one type of deal.
I don't think
Survival horror
I
in a
don't
cave.
yeah, I don't think I saw it, but was it called The Descent?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that for some reason that stuck in my head that I remember there was a movie called The Descent where they went into a cave, but I don't watch
Yeah,
too
so
many
I'm
horror
thinking
movies.
delving. Well, what do you delve into? Well, caves. And then I
Caves,
thought, you needed monsters too.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, yeah, we always made the joke because on original cover art, that was what Fiddleback put, and you actually have a guy that's rappelling down into a cavern for delve, and so I'm like, hey, somebody remembers that from a couple years ago because yeah, no, there's always been a cave theme. So when David did the revamp, there's also like a cave theme behind us, except now it's DelveCast that's actually rappelling down instead of a guy. So we've got that going on. But actually taking into a cave, I don't know if that would be too meta. I feel like
right, yeah.
that would be like we're like it's too on the nose. Like you're instead of jumping the shark, you're jumping the cave, which is very
Right.
hard to do. I've heard that it's very hard to do. Put a shark in a cave, that would be something. Um, okay, Taptacular. I don't really know how that applies to tabletop gaming, but I'm willing to go outside my area of expertise. So,
Oh, it doesn't. I just thought
oh,
it'd be a funny idea to experience.
but my
I
thought.
was thinking of unique experiences for the audience that I found funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get that. Um, the thing that I actually liked about the idea of Taptacular was that it actually feels like it might be a really calming, like, oral experience for people. Like, it's almost like white noise, but like a jazz version of white noise. Like, it feels like there's something. Like, it's not a podcast where we talk about tap dancing, it's just a podcast with tap dancing.
Right.
Enjoy. It's fine. We want to
Yeah.
expand our horizons. There can
Tap SMR.
ASMR. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
ASMR with tap music. I'm surprised. That's probably a thing already. I should look that up later. Actually, no. I'm gonna end up on a watch list if I do.
There's only so many corners of the internet you want to actually look at.
Oh, it is surprising the corners of the internet. Oh, hey, James.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, we went to get some ice cream
Ice cream.
earlier.
Oh
So
my god.
yeah,
Ooh,
it's really warm today, so we went to get some ice cream and hang out for a little while. So I'm a little late joining, but here I am.
Oh, that's okay. For the first half hour, I was by myself. I was like, boy, this is gonna be a short episode. Um, but we've been I've been letting DC explain in more detail some of his suggestions for Delve Prime.
Oh,
And if you haven't watched that video, I did link to it in the interactive tab so that you can watch it. But
I did end up going and watching it,
okay,
and it's
scary.
made me laugh.
Oh, okay, good. That was my primary goal. My secondary goal was to not make you hate this channel afterward. So if I succeeded in that way, great. Yeah, no, the context to there is because there's so many subscription services that are coming in for it. I really wanted to just address that too. So there's because it's
Yeah.
it has not been received warmly overall in the podcasting community, and I understand exactly why. But
Yeah. I wouldn't want to pay a subscription service for like the Dollop or Delve or anything like that.
right.
But I do like the concept of having multiple like not really podcasts that are all collectively under the name Delve. And I think that would be really interesting if you could find, like, obviously, you don't have enough time to do 3 or 4 podcasts a week. But if you could find enough
Yeah.
people to do it with you guys,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I would totally love to be part of that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, James. It's not for lack of me trying. There was a point where I really was literally doing like 3 podcasts at a time, and still kind of do 2. But we also have another one that Dom is working on, and so that's More Than Meets the Die, and we have a couple episodes over on our Patreon that are free. You can be on there without being a Patreon, and you can listen to it. We're just trying to get feedback because he's testing it. He hasn't done podcasting before, so he's kind of getting used to the candor of interviewing people. But his concept for it was really cool. It was the idea of taking people who are in the tabletop world and discussing like other things that they like in their life that are outside of tabletop gaming, and kind of like stuff that they don't necessarily get to talk about very much, and in some ways maybe if that influences them or if that's an inspiration for them, things that they're passionate that are outside of the realm of the industry itself. And he's had a couple really good interviews already with the Kind GM and with Andy Watson from FASA, and they're good. I think they're getting progressively better every time he does it. So, looking forward to more from him. Yeah.
That is fun.
Yes, it certainly is.
Okay.
It is fun. So yeah, no, we've been doing that, and I've been doing Orbital off and on throughout the entire time that we've been doing Dell. And then there was at one point where I was also doing Rift Hunters. And so I was doing all of those things, and I probably wouldn't do that again unless I had many support services behind me. Hopefully people to do the editing and such. If that was something, that would be different. But that, and I'm doing videos, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing that too. So, all sorts of good stuff. But
that's
fun. But yeah, no, we have kicked around the idea of several different other things that we're looking at, and we have a few other people that seem to be interested in doing stuff. So, we've considered expanding our like realm of products that we are offering to people, but specifically like the Luminosity thing and all of that is more of like an actual monthly subscription fee that has premium podcasts that are on an application. So
yeah, and I saw that, and I saw the stuff you put on the Discord about that, and I was like, no, I don't think so.
No,
I'm not gonna pay to hear celebrities do celeb podcasts,
right?
When there's tons of great content out there. It's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
And really, they're only doing it for the money anyways.
Right.
So I can go dig up really great, funny podcasts all the time, and I don't need to go mess with that.
Yeah, and I think that the impetus, too many people have said this, and I hate to agree, but it's true, and I tried to highlight a lot of them in that particular video, is when we get down to it, you can, like, 99% Invisible is never going to be better than what it already is, and it's perfectly free. Lore it cannot be better than it already is. No amount of money or no amount of, like, premium financing makes it better than what Aaron Mahnke can already make. So why would you bother?
Right.
You're already making the best product available. and
Right. And
it's
if
available.
if you look at it from a solely economic standpoint, and this is something we're doing in
Yes.
school right now, so pardon me,
That's okay.
but like you have like things like the free rider problem and stuff like that. But when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, they're not doing it for the money in the first place. You don't start podcasting because you're expecting to make a buck off it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, obviously, if you get support,
Mm-hmm.
it's great, and that's when you do things like you start Patreons and you
Yeah.
start Kickstarters and stuff for your podcast. But you
Yeah.
don't start podcasting because you're looking to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You start podcasting because you're passionate about something and you want to talk about it,
Right.
or you're interested in something and you want to learn more about it, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make it into a business model, it ceases to be fun and entertaining, and at least in my opinion, other people may have different opinions about it. It ceases to be as much for fun and entertainment and just for some people to get together and have a good time, do a podcast or whatever,
Right.
and more of like a job. And
Right.
it starts to get, you start repeating the same things start to get stale. It's not about the quality anymore, but the quantity. And so I think like with a paid subscription service, ultimately, you're going to end up with like, I mean, I'm not even gonna mince words. You're gonna end up with shitty.
Yeah.
You're gonna end up with shitty podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think the thing is that you're going in with the wrong foot forward. Like there's always, and I know this to be true. There are people whose jobs really are podcasting, and they didn't start that way. Like you realize that when you go in, you have to expect that there's no built-in like money stream at the beginning.
Yeah.
You can start to develop those just like if you start on YouTube and you start to get popular on any platform, out of the gate, it's going to take a while before you can make anything back. But you know, one day maybe down the line it becomes something viable. But
right.
But it's not right out of the gate. It's just not. You're not
right.
going to happen. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, 1 in a million YouTubers are like, oh yeah, or like popular, famous one or monetized ones, excuse me, are like, oh yeah, I went in, I knew that's what I want to do as my job. It's what, like, most of them are like, yeah, I YouTubed on the side, and then I got really big, and I'm like, oh hey, this is something that maybe I could do for an extra flow of cash or my main flow of cash.
Right.
And they switched over, and it worked out. And that's like why I YouTube and do that, is like, it's fun. I don't do it for the money. I mean, maybe someday it will make me some, but right now it's just for enjoyment. And if someday it takes off, it takes off.
Yeah.
And like, it's true of other industries too. Like I've been doing a little bit of research into like games like Magic the Gathering, where they used to have like free, not really free, but like not for profit, quote unquote, trading services and stuff like that online. And ultimately, and I mean, it's something that's going on in the YouTube community right now as well. If you watch any game theory, you might know about this. They're having this huge issue with a company that basically just went belly up. They worked for them for a long time.
Yes.
And so they're demanding their money, and they're not getting it.
No, they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, the problem with all these things is it's built on something that doesn't exist, and like that's like a law of nature. You can't create something out of nothing. Eventually it comes back and bites you in the butt. And that
and just general rule of thumb, maybe don't join a multi-channel network. And MCN is pretty, it turns out, is a pretty bad idea, and a lot of people have found that out. And unfortunately, game theory was part of that network. I was actually surprised, and I can't even remember I can't remember what they were called now. But I was actually surprised by the number of channels that I watched that were apparently part of that network. And then they all were like, oh, and by the way, we kind of got screwed in this whole
Yeah.
thing. And so I know that that's not like I know that Matt Pat's story on that is not just a one-time thing. That's a lot. I was watching Chris Stuckman, who does movie reviews, and very popular channel for that, and he was part of that too. And so the two,
Right.
so like he was saying, like, you know, that month, like for Halloween, like I always do a ton of reviews for old scary movies for Halloween. Yeah, that entire month of October, I have seen absolutely no revenue for like the 15 videos I put out during that month. Like,
That's crazy.
and I may never see it at this point.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and like, and he's like, you know, I got college to pay for. We got bills, and
And
we
watching
kinda-
those movies ain't free.
Yeah.
On top of it.
Not only is it that, but he's kind of like going, you know, this has kind of become my main source of income. Like, this is basically what I use so that I can create films now.
Right.
You know, I want to be a filmmaker. That has been my passion anyway, and you know, being able to do this has really been able to drive me to do that. And so if I'm not getting revenue from this, so now it's like, well, what are we gonna do now? How do we change this all over? And they had told him, like, oh, well, you can start getting revenue back on those from views now, but you have to change the AdSense. You have to change the AdSense setting on every single video, and you can't do that on mass. So you have to go back into every one of your videos, and you have to change the AdSense preferences. And he's like, okay, so since I had joined them, that's 200 and something videos that I now have to go back over and manually change the pay structure on.
That, like, at that point, YouTube should just be like going in and doing it.
You would think
They
because
shouldn't.
they
It
know
shouldn't even be.
it's not like a hidden secret at that point. It's like, just say, I want this done, and they should be able to just go in and fix it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, no, it's sad what happened there. But I guess the word of warning is multi-channel network, not a great idea. Hopefully that will not be the next thing they try with podcasting.
Yeah.
Let's try that out, see how it works.
Yeah. And there's obviously a difference between.
Hello.
There's obviously a difference between getting in underneath a brand name or having a large group of people like all like being part of a group and working together on podcasts
Yeah.
and being a part of a multi-channel network. And the same is true of like video making. Like that's not. I mean, as far as I'm aware, there's like T-Series
Yeah.
that they're not a multi-channel network, are they?
I don't not in the same way that the one that we're thinking of is. T-Series is like a media conglomerate from India, so they already had like a bunch of different talent channels that were part of their network. But I don't think they were
Right.
set up specifically for you. I think that was like the network hires out all of these to create content for them.
Right.
Which is a different sort of animal.
It's like an up-down instead of a down-up system.
Yeah, which is probably why they're, you know, not
Why it
looking
works.
to yeah, why it seems to work pretty well for them, I guess, but
Right. And I know like you probably have never watched him, but my younger siblings watch Preston Plays. He's like a Minecrafter and Fortniter and
Okay.
whatever, and like his whole family does that, or not his whole family, but a large amount of his family does that, and they work together. And part of their whole like business model, and hopefully no one listening gets offended because I know like people don't think about it this way, but their whole business model is like by creating a positive feedback loop by putting each other, talking about each other in each other's videos,
Oh yeah.
and connecting like their channels together
Mm-hmm.
under one brand name, the Preston channel, whatever.
Right.
It increases their viewership and their subscribe count and the revenue they all get and all share
Mm-hmm.
a lot, because they're drawing in these different
Yeah.
groups that watch different things and combining them
Right.
into
With modern media, that's how it works. The more audiences you can reach at once without breaking your brand, the better you're gonna do.
hmm
Yeah.
I mean, heck, we can see them doing it with Marvel. You have funny movies, you have serious movies, you have dark movies, you have like old style movies. Like Captain Marvel is for those really, really old fans of the genre.
Those people who remember Blockbuster and
Right.
Do you remember Blockbuster? There's a Blockbuster reference in here.
that was my entire joke. Thank you for getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember Blockbuster?
In all honesty, I went, oh shit, Blockbuster. I remember our Blockbuster. We had one in town. I remember.
Yeah. We used to go there when we were younger.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jack, our little brother, doesn't have any idea what that is.
Well,
Anyways,
he's missing out.
Dude.
yeah, he does. He is.
He's missing out.
Well, I'm sure he would just like freak out if he found out you used to be able to rent video games and movies and for a
I mean,
week.
You can. You just have to go to a red box.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still
are
have it. It's just in like mobile form instead
Yeah.
of like a building. It's just a vending machine.
Mhm.
We've moved to a more portable, consolidated version of it, but yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about with like Marvel, is that, you know, they had a smart business model in that the movies are not cookie cutter all the same.
Right.
They have a wide swath of different kinds of tones to them and ideas. And now they can go into space and it still makes sense. It still works in terms of the overall narrative, but it never feels like
Right.
repetitive over and over again. Which I feel like DC is now starting to understand a little bit more, because it feels like their whole slate is they have like some super serious movies and they also have some super light movies. Like they just
I'm
like,
so excited for Shazam.
yeah.
So excited
I
for
have-
Shazam.
I want to see it myself. I have heard nothing but great things about it. People said that it was great. I liked Aquaman. I thought Aquaman was so much fun.
I
It's
haven't
like
seen it yet, but I want to see that one
it
too.
was I can't tell you that the plot was like revolutionary. It's kind of corny, but it's corny in the greatest way possible.
I mean, it's Aquaman though.
Yeah, it is. Like they gave him by the end, like you get to see it on the cover anyway, is he gets like a comic book accurate Aquaman suit by the end of this movie, and they make it work. It's a gold and green, and you're like, I can't believe they did it. Oh, they did, and it's great. It's great. There's an octopus playing the bongo drums. If you
Oh
are
my.
not sold by the fact that an octopus plays the drums, or that there are sharks with lasers on the side of their head, I cannot help you. That's the kind of
That's-
movie it is.
That is hilarious.
It is amazing. And the director, James Wan, who's used to doing like big action-packed movies, big set pieces, it is one of those things where you're like, every single new scene, it looks like they broke the budget on every new scene till they get to like the end battle where you're just like, I don't even know how you did that. It is spectacular. There's so much happening in those last scenes where you're like, oh my god, every inch of the screen is filled with stuff. It's sensory overload, which and that's
awesome.
perfect for that kind of movie. But then I'm also kind of interested in Joker, which is a completely different thing than Shazam, and has a completely almost an art house dark movie that they're building with that. So
Wow.
yeah. Had you seen the trailers for that, Paul?
I've seen bits of it. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Oh god. Sorry, playing Sekiro. Because I got
Really,
the tradition of
I
playing
was
something.
guessing Dark Souls.
Well, he's playing the new
Honest-
Dark Souls. It's called Sekiro. Shadows
Oh,
Die
there you
Twice.
go.
It's from Software, another one from Software. I did have a question for you, Paul, since you're playing Sekiro. Is this harder or easier than Dark Souls? No one could explain it to me.
Huh. Sorry, say again?
Is Sekiro? Would you say Sekiro is harder or easier than the Dark Souls series?
So, I will say it is definitely harder.
Hmm.
On the basis of, ow.
On the basis of how?
On the basis of ow. So Dark Souls, you could build towards a sort of goal, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to, have a high intelligence and blast things. I'm going to build my strength so I can get this strong weapon. Sekiro goes, whatever. You have one fucking weapon, and no, you don't get no takebacks.
This is what you get. Deal with it.
And it just kind of goes, you don't get stronger until you beat more things.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
So the only way to up your damage is by beating bosses. The only way to up your health and poise, posture, whatever, is by beating mini bosses.
Okay. Okay. Oh. So it's not like when in Dark Souls where like if I just keep beating the little guys and collect enough souls, I can level up my character and get points.
Nope. You
No.
have to. You have to beat the bad guys. You can't
Okay.
just get away with scraping by.
Oh. So what do I lose when I die? Is it money?
So yeah, you have a mix of. So remember how? So souls used to be the sort of experience / money thing.
Yeah.
In Sekiro, there's actually a split between money and experience, and so there's a way to you can buy coin purses so that when you die you don't lose any money, and you only lose half of what you have when you die. So if you
That's
die
good.
3 times in a row, you have an eighth of what you started with. But
Gotcha.
you still have you still have something.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's I like that.
Mhm.
I like the
But
fact that it doesn't just
at the
take
same
everything.
time,
Mm.
it reminds me of Demon Souls, and I've said this.
Mm.
It reminds me of Demon Souls because, well, there's this thing where if you die enough, the people around you start feeling the effects of it.
Mm.
And in all honesty, it seems like a story piece, not a. Fuck you for having your health back. And I'm dead. I just immediately died. I went, screw you.
Well, the
dead.
people are gonna feel that in the morning. Yeah.
But the way it works is, you have you have a set health, you have
Yeah.
a set posture, which is your ability to basically take hits
Yeah. Okay.
and block. So the entire game's built around timing your blocks, knowing the enemy and just doing what you can to beat them. And it's so interesting because it's much more skill based.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it means that in Dark Souls, you didn't really have to get good. You had to kind of work your way through, understand the layout, and do that shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hurt you.
But
In this game, you have to be good.
in this game,
Now you have to get good. There's no other way around it.
okay. I like when I saw the game play, my immediate thought was, oh, this looks like it's gonna be easier because like I can like jump up to the top of buildings, like I can move around a lot more than I could in Dark Souls.
Not at all.
No.
The vertical. So I will say, I'm focusing on the combat element.
Mm-hmm.
The there is a huge emphasis on the ability to stealth.
Okay.
So your ability to just navigate and avoid matters.
Okay.
So it's really a kind of a stealth game.
It really feels more like a stealth game than a Souls game.
Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Graphically, does it appear to be a stealth game or a combat-oriented game?
That is a very interesting question. Nope, you don't see me. The best way I can say it is, if you've played a Metal Gear Solid game, it feels like the way that feels. There is a clear emphasis on your ability to stealth, but all your abilities and powers, like your passive abilities, can lead to better stealth, but your real strongest powers and what you invest the most in is combat.
Okay.
So yes, you're supposed to be able to stealth more.
Okay.
But and you could go through the whole game with barely fighting someone, except there are bosses. There are people you cannot stealth around.
Yeah. Yeah, that was always something that I was worried about, because I remember, like, like, Deus Ex is one of my favorite series, and they used to pride themselves on the fact that, like, in every installment, you could literally get through without killing anybody, and with stealthing through the entire game. Like, you could do it in the first game, and I think even in the second one. When they came back and they did Human Revolution, there is this part where you are going to come up to a boss, and this one boss, you have to be somewhat combat ready, because there is
I
no
remember
way.
hearing about that.
Yeah, and so if you haven't put anything into your fighting abilities, you're in trouble if you don't know how to do, because you're not going to be able to stealth around it. I think they learned their lesson, because if I remember from Mankind Divided, I don't think I ran into a boss that had that issue. But yeah, I've seen my fair share of stealth games where stealth is a thing you could conceivably do. It's just not likely. I had just gone back and played a little bit of Origins for Assassin's Creed, and I forgot that, like, they really wanted to highlight the fact that that was a combat game, because it took no time. Literally, like I step out of the bushes for like a second, and the guards are like, "Hey, there you are!" It's like, and then there's like 12 guards on me. And
well, that's pretty realistic.
It's pretty realistic.
You step in the bush instead of a guard,
but
they're gonna go.
It's not Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, which is why, like, I was so happy. One of the things they did right in the new Odyssey is you can have there are skills that you can get that actually extend your timer, and in terms of how long between someone recognizing you and them actually reacting, and you can get that out to like 6 seconds or something. So you have ample time while they're like looking like, I wonder what that is, where you can go up and just stab them real fast with your spear. And I feel like that was a marked improvement on that formula. And then you can chain it, and then if you wanted to, you could also just jump off a cliff and take no falling damage, because by like level 20 they say, jump from any height, you won't get hurt, screw it.
We don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Just jump.
Falling.
Yeah, I think Odyssey was at a point where they were just like, you know what, go for it. We know you want to. I'm not gonna stop you. Enjoy. And it's like,
that was why I got so turned off by Odyssey, though, because
really?
I had played every Assassin's Creed game until Unity came out.
Oh yeah.
So Unity and Rogue came out, and I actually decided to play Rogue because of all the very bad early reviews on Unity. Not even the bugs, just the bad reviews of story in this and that. And then I decided to play Rogue because it actually had a good story.
Yep.
It tied in a lot of other plots. Why did the Americas fall? It was that in between Edward Kenway and Connor Kenway.
Yeah.
You know, why did America fall to the Templars? How did this happen? Because clearly the pirates were influential. What happened? This, that, and,
Right.
that was a cool story. And then Unity went, ah, yes, the French Revolution. Such a dramatic and political time between very large, disparate factions.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't come to Assassin's Creed to experience political history in a weird way. You just want to see these two people really want to fuck.
and that was a big. Well, we're in Paris. But the thing,
The French, I'm not surprised.
it's
but
the
still.
French. But here's the thing though. What I was always surprised, and I had just gone back and played Rogue not too long ago, and it wasn't the remaster; it was still the Xbox 360 version. But I went back and I played through it again, and I was like, well, some of these mechanics feel a little outdated by modern standards, like by the later ones, and there's that. But
Someone found me.
But I was always interested, like, if you remember the ending of Rogue. The ending of Rogue basically is the start of Unity. So like when you're going through Palace of Versailles as Shay, and you see the kids running around, that's Arno, and so and your target is his father. And so when you play Unity, and I think I played Unity first, so I was not aware of this. I did not realize when you start Unity and your father gets murdered by somebody, oh, that was Shay. And so that informs Arno's story going forward. But the problem, and so I like the fact that it had all this interconnectivity and all of that, but the problem was really that the game was not well done, and there were so many problems with it in terms of how it played and the amount of bugs in it, and that it didn't feel like they had enough time to really work on it to make it good. That was a problem. I have successfully played, I cannot say I have finished, but I have played like literally every Assassin's Creed game that's been made. I even attempted to do those 2.5 games that they made for like China, Russia, and India. I tried.
You should do Kingdom Hearts next.
No.
If you can figure out the story, if you can figure out the story, you should do Kingdom Hearts next.
No, there's no such thing as figuring out the story in Kingdom Hearts games.
Don't try. And you know what? I don't honestly think they had any intention of having a cohesive story. I really don't think that was. If you look at the original game, and I remember playing some of the original game, I didn't finish it, but I did get pretty far in it. The majority of that story is pretty much, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Final Fantasy and Disney were a thing, and they like hooked up and they did
if
something
Final
fun?
Fantasy and Disney got married and had a baby.
Yeah,
that's what Kingdom Hearts would look like.
Kingdom Hearts is a baby, and isn't it a beautiful baby boy? And they were like, yeah, this is super fun. Oh God, but remember the Final Fantasy part. We have to come up with a long, convoluted story for this. And so by 2, you're just like, what the hell is happening? I did not get very far in 2. Because they start you off as Roxas, and I'm like, I don't even know who this dude is. I'm not even playing Sora. I'm around a town. They want me to do all these odd jobs. When does the game start? And since like a couple hours later, the game hadn't apparently started, I was like, you know what? No, I'm done. No. I haven't even gotten to any of the magical worlds I'm supposed to go to.
Yeah.
And I don't see it happening in the near future. Why is there so much of this story? I don't understand. I even watched the cutscenes for like whatever it was, 3,505 days over 2 or whatever the stupid naming system for these games is. And I'm like, I watched all the cutscenes for it, and I was like, I still have absolutely no freaking idea what is happening right now. I don't know who half of these characters are, and I don't really care. Now when I see the cutscenes for 3, I'm like, I'm not even going to bother trying to figure out the story. Can I just go with my Keyblade and hit things real hard with my Keyblade and pal around
Kingdom
with
Hearts,
the Woody.
You lovely, lovely mess.
It's such a it's a beautiful mess, but it is a pretty big mess. Oh, I applaud it for trying, but
Yeah,
as
like I cannot blame them for trying to have a huge, weird, meaningful story.
yeah,
Hey, they tried.
they attempted
What
it.
is shaking? Oh God!
I, f- I feel like if
Hi,
they
Snake.
oh, is it the giant snake? Oh God,
Blind.
I've seen so many videos of the giant snake.
He's blind.
But I my impression of Kingdom Hearts was it would have benefited a lot more from really just focusing on the Disney Worlds aspect and maybe less of the Square Enixiness of it. Like there's a place for that. It's called Final Fantasy and it was fine in Final Fantasy, but it starts to bog down the charm of Kingdom Hearts. So it loses something in that. You know, there's a place in time. It's like if you tried to say, "Hey, wouldn't it be great if we like mashed up like Metal Gear Solid and Pokemon? Wouldn't that be fun, everybody?" And they were
And
like
that'd
That's
be
Super
really
Smash Bros.
cool, but
that's Super Smash.
See, they've done that already.
Metal Gear Smash Bros. Well, you know,
okay.
I
Okay,
can,
that's creepy.
I I'm sorry, we did make it creep. No,
Hang on. I will show you the screen cap I just pulled about
oh,
the
okay.
latest.
Oh God, I'm kind of terrified by this, but
Yeah, me too,
That was
actually.
original. I meant to put that in interactive.
oh, okay,
But,
yeah. Make sure to put it into interactive so that we
I
can
will.
see it.
I'm actually gonna delete that. Let me delete this. Let me fix this.
Okay, I
I still love Cast.
cast. Yeah, did you like my? Did you like the?
I loved that image.
Thank you. Oh wow, that is creepy. That is.
Oh, wow.
And that was after it was retreating, not in my face.
Thing is huge.
Yeah. That is.
Here's a better scale. Let's try this again. Here's a better scale. Because I can.
The
Because
giant-
I can. I turned back and it was in my face.
Oh God. It's.
Oh, holy
Yeah.
cow.
Just meeting Japanese Jormungandr, no big deal.
You know, they are not messing around with. They really want you to feel as this that is the most Dark Soulsy image I've ever seen. just to highlight the idea. Yep, it's a big ass creature. Good luck.
And of course, in this game, my brain goes, no, I don't. I'm not gonna fight that.
Yeah. And then the game is probably eventually going to be like, yeah, I think you gotta fight it. Do you?
That's
fight?
really been this game. I actually at one point went. This game, I will say this game does, to its credit, make me want to go. I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'll fuck around. I'll do something else.
Yeah. I realized pretty quick that something in the Dark Souls oeuvre is starting to realize I went down the wrong path. I have to take the scenic route. Just give me the scenic route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently that snake attacks the tunnels you go in. Just the
Oh.
outside of them, thankfully. But
Great. That's
dear Christ,
good.
like I know this snake will go away if I kill him.
Yes.
I don't know what the fuck it takes to kill him.
Yep. Probably the others. Probably the sword they didn't bother to give you. They didn't want to give you the correct weapon for this job. I can tell you that I played Darksiders 3, which takes a very Dark Soulsy sort of tone to its gameplay, and
Really?
That was manageable. That was not nearly as controller frustrating as Dark Souls
So-
was, but
In my experience of playing Dark Souls games, I'll say, from
Mhm.
Software Games, I actually did play Demon Souls first, which was weird because I didn't know that it wasn't until I played Dark Souls and like read a bunch of lore and stuff that I realized that I had played Demon Souls, a successor to Dark Souls. Because I had played it with a friend. He's just like, yeah, this is a really cool game. I've really been enjoying it. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll play it. Yeah.
Yeah. Demon Souls is not a great introduction to Souls-like games because
I agree.
it's
I will-
so hard.
But
It's
I will
so
think-
hard.
Sekiro gives me a Demon Souls feel because there's this sort of, you're not making it forward without some sort of pain.
Yeah. I can get that. I mean, there's more of a focus on blocking and parrying in this one, isn't there?
Deflection is key.
Yeah.
So you've seen the Captain Crunch "Oops, all berries." I saw someone edit it to have Sekiro's face, or the wolf's face, not Sekiro. The manga dude's face, and it's just "Oops, all parries."
That's good. That's good. I like that
That's
one. Oh man, that's pretty great. Yeah. When they tried to explain, because I like the Darksiders series, and they always try something different with each variation. Like the first one is kind of Zelda, and then the second one is kind of Diablo, and then the third one's kind of Dark Souls. But
I'm dead.
but the thing that I liked is with Fury, the thing that I didn't get in the Dark Souls games that I got in Darksiders 3 is Fury has a giant whip that she will slash everything with immediately. And she has elemental powers. And that made it much easier. She could like jump around and do buzzsaw attacks, and I was like, oh, we threw some Devil May Cry in our Dark Souls. This is fun.
Hey, mix up your games.
Yeah.
Who fucking cares which genre? I really want to hit this dude. I know I will die, but I really want to hit him.
Well, I mean, what do you have to lose except literally everything?
No, only half of everything.
Only half of everything. Can you bank your money at all in that game?
So you can buy coin purses,
Okay.
and they hold a little less than what you buy them for, but they can't be lost.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Okay. That's kind of nice.
All right, snake fucker, leave.
That's his new name. That's his new name.
So we know it's a guy snake now.
No. You can
No.
fuck snakes no matter.
No.
Regardless of gender, you can fuck snakes.
But it's a snake.
Listen. I don't care for your.
Look, I think, honestly though, I think that if there
Okay, looking at me. Go away. Oh God.
if the name of something is snake fucker, doesn't that technically mean that it's a lady snake?
That's a crit. That's a crit, and I'm running. That's a crit, and I'm running.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't say crit.
because- See, the only way you can do what that name is implying is if you have a little smoky. Otherwise,
Okay.
Okay, we are referring to the giant snake now as Lil Smokey. Congratulations, Paul. We've renamed it for you.
I'm okay. It's better than Little Jormungandr, and I'm okay with this.
Now serving at the deli counter, Jormungandr Smokies. Hope everybody's enjoying. I can really taste the mythos. It's delicious. It's delicious. Oh wow!
oh,
I will never eat sushi again. So that's good. Anyway, And we've learned about Sekiro, the game that proves that From Software still hates me. Thanks for that.
I mean, the entirety of that mission. So that wasn't even a mission. That was me going from point A to point B
yeah,
entirely with stealth because this thing could instant kill me.
yeah.
And then it went, hey, here's a point to hide in. And I went, okay, I'll hide there. By the way, the only way to escape is by critical hitting this right fucking now.
Yeah. Yeah, good times.
Of course, my brain reacted positively because my brain went, murder. But more sensible people might have a difficult time.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Oh, I did come up with a thing for your Delve Prime service.
Ooh, let's get it into interactive. Let's see what we got.
I don't have any art, but I'm calling it.
That's okay. Don't worry, I'm on it. just do it, and I'll start working on a design.
The art has been amazing.
I'm calling it DARP.
Okay.
What's it called?
Delve DARP, DARP.
Okay.
It's Delve Action Role Playing.
Delve Action Role Playing, DARP.
Or if you prefer, it can be Lard.
Lard.
Which
Oh, I
is
kind of like
live
Lard.
action role delving.
Live action role delving.
You
Okay.
are large. Fuck off.
Live action role delving. Oh my goodness, I think I might have found an image I can work with. Anyway, I'm gonna work up cover art because literally
me.
I'm just gonna
Isn't that actually what we're doing right now?
Live action delving, yes.
Yeah, we're doing that. But I'm gonna, while we're talking about it, I'm gonna just start working on cover art.
Just do it.
I'm
Just Nike, just full Nike.
don't worry. I think I have something that I found a picture. I'm like, ooh, this might work. But please, James, tell me a little bit more about Lard.
So the concept of Lard would be we get a few people together and we live action roleplay, but it's all Delve related. So we're only allowed to live action roleplay and talk about game mechanics, or we're only allowed to live action roleplay as game mechanics.
Oh, I would totally do that. Yep.
Okay. Oh. Okay. So the game mechanics. Yes, that does sound like a game mechanic. So game mechanics, okay, are
Role playing as game mechanic.
Man.
Role playing as game mechanics seems to be a game mechanic now.
Role playing as game mechanics. Oh man. Okay.
So you're not the wizard, but you're the spell that the wizard is casting, I guess, kind of.
Okay.
No, you're the concept of spell casting in games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much better.
Yeah, that is better.
Okay, let me just see if I can work on this. Let me just see if I can work on this.
I love how overly meta and just perfect this is.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, now
So
man.
you can even be the game mechanic of live action role playing a game mechanic.
Yeah.
That could be a thing.
Yeah, that would be a pretty sweet thing. Oh man, what would the font be for that? Now I get to go through my fonts. What is live action role delving gonna be?
You are the literal concept of live action role playing. That's terrifying.
Oh man. I think for the picture it's gonna have to be that. Oh no, I have a special font that I had. Oh my. Yeah,
And the best part is it's also fat from a pig. So, it's back to the whole bacon concept we talked about at Christmas.
Like, yeah. No, that's true. Oh, yes, the bacon is the best part of that whole thing. Oh, yes, I have that font. Okay, so LARD. Lard. Alright, great. Live action role delving. Let me just...
If you guys couldn't tell from the one shot, I like silly acronyms.
No
A
kidding.
lot.
People like
I am
It's
gonna...
ridiculous.
Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna just...
Screw you in your spear.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to. This
Also thrilling in the podcast genre, people doing Photoshop in an audio format.
Yeah,
I actually would pay to listen to that.
yeah.
I would not pay to listen to that, but I would listen to it.
You would listen to it
Mainly
if it were
because I just
free.
want to see I just want to hear the creative swears.
Oh yeah, no, the creative swearing is the best part for me.
As someone who is very creative with their swears due to them being them.
Yes, exactly. Um,
Of a bold text.
yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I could. If I know what the catchphrase is. I'm gonna put it down here, but I'm gonna surprise everybody.
Oh boy.
Live action delving. Live action role delving when you're not meta enough.
Yeah.
When you just need to be a bit more meta. Also,
Yeah.
who doesn't mind a theoretical spoiler for Sekiro?
I don't.
I don't care.
I don't
All
care.
right. Active spoilers for those who wish to listen later.
Mhm.
I just hit a memory, and the main antagonist, the guy who actually severs your arm in the start of the game, may in fact be the sort of undead thing that you are as well. But
Oh, that's fun.
I don't know if you actually are, because the entire scene that it's a memory you get.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. All right. I'm going to export this, and then I'm gonna put it into chat. And I'm
I don't want
willing-
to kill you. You're just sad about your horse. I don't have to kill you. Oh, you poor bastard.
Here we go. Let's see here. Is it somewhere where I can
But
grab it now?
there's a memory. Again, spoilers.
Yeah.
There's a memory that you find that's just your master talking to this boss
Mm.
and this enemy, and talking about giving him the dragon's blood, the ability to revive indefinitely, and he's very hesitant to give it to him because he doesn't want to do that to people. He thinks that's too dangerous, too much, and it's very interesting to see because you don't actually get confirmation whether or not he did it. The memory ends before the actual transference of blood occurs. However, you are his other guardian. You are his person.
Ooh.
So, and you have the gift.
Mm.
So it's very interesting that this guy would be the one to sever your arm when very clearly your lord trusts you more than he trusts his generals.
Oh. And the plot
Yeah.
thickens.
This game is way more plot driven than any so that's not true. Not plot driven is the wrong word. Plot oriented is what I would no, actually no, plot driven. Other games have been plot oriented, with the Dark Souls games being all about not giving up, and anyone who gives up before beating the final boss is just a hollow. But in between, there are those who manage to reignite the first flame, and the Dark Souls. Oh Jesus fuck! What are you? Okay, you told me what you are.
We'll find out very soon.
It's
That's
spoilers.
hilarious.
It's a dude on a horse.
That is
He yelled
hilarious.
very loudly at me at who he was. Sorry
Yeah.
about your horse.
You know, I'm just saying. Anyone who
We're
thinks
not baking around.
we're not
Beautiful.
baking around, yeah, I thought that was very on brand. If I had thought about it before, I would have tried to find a picture of bacon, just put that behind it. I should have done that, but then I was like, oh no, I'm too late into the process now. I've gotten
I like this
my
fight.
action.
I like this fight a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
So
Okay.
So this is good. We have yet another entry into the Del Prime. thing. I think I mentioned to Alex at one point. Or no, I put it into the generals. Like, I think I got to now do a follow-up video where I just try to lay all this out for people. I just, good news, everyone. We got suggestions back.
Can I be the
Good
concept
news,
of throwing,
everybody.
Can you be the concept of what?
throwing things? That's a game mechanic, right?
Yeah,
What?
throwing
Throwing?
things?
Throwing things? Is that not a game mechanic?
Depends on the game. So
throwing a board across a room in anger. Yeah.
well, no, here's the thing. Here's a fun thought. Like my personal thing is I have a personal goal in one of my campaigns to just play a character whose only weapons is throwing weapons.
Mm.
That would be cool, actually.
I've been playing a lot of D&D, and it's not basically every person who's experienced in the game goes, well, you can, it's just not all that strong. And I go, I mean, you're right, but that's not stopping me.
That's when you just buff up your strength a lot and get the throw anything feat, and then you just start hurling like bookshelves and dressers at people, and you're fine. And you just crush things to death.
Also fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if throwing things. Yeah, I want to be the. I think I want to be the game mechanic of checking your stats continuously.
Can I be the game mechanic of buffing yourself too much for the enemy?
Oh, you want to be a
No, I'm gonna be the game mechanic of buffing. Just that.
You're going
The
to be...
concept of buffing your character mid combat.
And your character's name is Buffing the Vampire Slayer.
I actually, it'll be Buffington the Vampire.
Buffington the Vampire. Okay. For a second there I was like Swole Knight. I felt like that's a class. Just like I've made my character.
Would be a Swole Knight, but that's not what my name should be.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone was the game mechanic of being meta.
Yeah.
That's too much. That's too much meta.
Is that too far down the rabbit hole?
Probably.
Oh god, the boss says I can't run from. Run from the boss.
I mean, I want to be the game mechanic of the long rest because I need more naps.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. Yes. I put an alternate cover for all the Yakov Smirnoff fans out there. I thought that also made sense.
That's so great.
In Soviet Russia, mechanics play you. I feel like that's maybe more explanatory to the thing. Who knows? Maybe.
Oh, that's so great.
So hey, yeah, no, I've got my photo editor and my stock photo site open. I am ready to roll.
I have one more if I can think of it again.
Okay.
I thought of it like first thing this morning, and now I forgot it.
Okay. I'll be ready. I got my stuff open, so I can always work on it. As you can tell, it doesn't take me long.
All right, Kilbu, I get your fucking name.
These things.
It was like a group storytelling thing. I don't remember what I was calling it.
Oh.
Like you would just get everyone together, and it would be like role playing, but just telling a story.
Oh, okay. Circle Workshop?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a good name for it.
Yeah, I think so. It's not suggestive at all.
Circle Jerk Shop.
Well, I was working off of that. I was going to call it Circle Work, but I felt like that doesn't really explain what it is. So
you could also do Whose Delve Is It Anyway?
Oh, that would also be good. Yeah. I feel oh god. Actually the smart name would be Story Circle. If you wanted an actual name, but it's not funny. Like,
no.
It's not particularly funny. I feel pass the talking stick or I'm going to scream. That sounds like more of our brand.
What can we call it?
Oh God, I don't know.
That's
How do
hard.
you imagine it go? I guess that would help. So like the process of creating a story.
Have you ever played one sentence story?
No.
So one person does a sentence, and then the next person in the circle does a sentence, and the next person in the circle does a sentence. So something a little bit like that,
Oh, okay.
but maybe typed out instead of spoken aloud.
Oh,
Or
okay,
maybe not.
okay. Yeah. Um, phew. Uh, group sesh, like session, but it sounds kind of sexy. It would be
Group sesh. There's like an E tilde E
Yeah.
SH.
Let's
And
talk.
it's a
Oh.
group chat in Discord
Oh.
that has a weirdly an ominously sexy vibe, but
Yeah.
nobody can pin it.
No,
Mainly because saying nobody can pin it also adds to that.
Yes. I think I came up with a title. Let's talk about lexicon. How about that?
Let's
I
talk
like
about
that.
what's Lexi.
Yeah, Lexi time.
Let's get Lexi. There we go.
Lexi time.
Oh yes,
Lexa
yes.
time.
So
Okay.
bad.
It's so
Why?
bad. But okay, it is spelled just it's gonna be it's gonna have to be spelled like that because then it really does look like it's supposed to be lexicon. Now I'm trying to think what I would get for that. I know. Oh, wait a second. I bet I can find a picture of this. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, okay. No, don't worry. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves. I'm working on a thing. I'm gonna be working on this for a second. Just get this in here. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Because Lexi time is terrific. Oh God, what is it gonna be? It's this? Nope. Where is it? Damn it. I did it. Okay, cool. That's what I wanted to find. So, everybody does one line of a story, and we create an RPG?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
I guess it
okay.
would be a little bit like, so everyone is the game master, but only for one sentence, and then goes to the next person,
Oh, okay.
which would be so chaotic and funny.
Yeah, it sure would. Oh, I have a font for that. I get so excited about fonts. Don't hate me for the fact that I get so excited about fonts. This is like, I've had times where I like literally just went through one of those font suite things, and I'm like, oh wow, this one looks like Spider-Man. And now I get to use that. Okay, so I am going to just fire that over and do this, and I gotta do some stuff here. But I like how that looks. Yes, I like how that looks. Oh my goodness. That's good. James, how long was it that you had that in your mindset for Lexi time? Did that pop into your head?
Me?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it since like, I don't know, like 9 this morning. We were out and about, and I was thinking about Delve Prime and what I might like to suggest. I'm like, that would make a cool
You're
fake.
out and about and thinking about Delve Prime.
Yeah.
I like the dedication.
You're out and about thinking about Delve Prime, and you know what? That's the way it should be.
So, I don't know. It just kind of came to me in a flash of light.
Came to me in a dream, which is a meta thing that someone could play.
Ooh.
All right, let's see here. I'm just gonna do
You could play it as the prophecy that comes to your player in a dream.
That
Oh,
would be so
that
awesome.
that's an intriguing idea.
That would make an interesting Delve episode on its own, like prophesy as a mechanic.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wait,
yeah, yeah,
we're not
How would
supposed to do real ideas. Shut up.
Oh man. Let's see here.
But you guys, I don't think you guys have ever talked about that. Like prophesy.
Oh,
That'd be interesting. I would
a
listen to that.
prophecy. Here's
Yeah. Like
okay.
as a game mechanic, how does that work as a game mechanic?
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Huh. Well, that's an interesting idea. Like, I guess I'm trying to figure out like what so like the prophecy of your character, how that can be implemented into your game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a character with prophetic powers as well. Like someone who can see
Oh.
just shortly into the
What is the
future.
idea of prophecy in general?
Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
I know there's classes in some systems that take advantage of it, but
Yeah.
I've never seen it done very well.
Okay. Anyway, I came up with Lexi time.
Oh, and so this is a little off topic, but it might make for an interesting Delve Prime episode.
Sure.
My brother wants us to come up with a game concept,
Okay.
come up with the rules and play of a game with the concept of nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, so are we playing the Spanish Inquisition?
Maybe, I don't know. That's all we figured out is that we want the concept of the game to be based around the phrase "No one expects the Spanish Inquisition."
Oh, okay. That's an interesting idea. So, creating entire game out of one phrase.
Yeah,
like
that would be cool.
I can kind of see the thing that I think would be kind of interesting is if you were trying to create like just a campaign or something like that out of a single phrase, because like I think that's something. I don't know if a system would necessarily work around it.
So the
Yeah,
system
maybe
would
just-
work if like with the Spanish Inquisition, the system would be a stealth-based system,
Oh,
a sort of sneaking around, gathering information, and in essence, being the Spanish Inquisition. How do you figure out the dirt on someone?
yeah.
That would be cool.
Here's the mechanic that I'm thinking about with when it comes to Spanish Inquisition time. Is imagine you have like your maybe not a D20, maybe a D100. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but a die with a pretty high probability ratio, and the person who's running the game picks a number at random. Just a number at random that would be on that die. And after every player does something, like basically after players do stuff in the game, and like make decisions and stuff, you have to roll the die. And if it doesn't land on the number that you have, the random number that you chose at the beginning, nothing happens. But the second it does land on the number that the GM originally thought of, the Spanish Inquisition comes to your door and knocks it down, and you better be ready. Because guess what? No one literally expects the Spanish Inquisition because only the GM knows what that number is.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be so cool if like you wrote down the number at some
write
point.
the number down.
And then you'd use like a 6-sided die. That way you have a decent chance of it happening. And then at some point you roll every so often the characters have to roll the die.
Yeah.
Then when it hits that number,
yeah.
oh my gosh,
that'd
be so funny.
Like that would be like, yeah. No, I think that would be interesting. Like, where you have whatever die you're going to use for the probability, and the difficulty of it. Oh, that's an interesting idea, huh? Oh, it'd be hard because
No, we're
then
not
it would
supposed
give
to
it
give you
away.
legitimate ideas. I thought that was the opposite of DelveCast. Amazing ideas from my podcast. It's more likely than you think.
Yeah.
change the difficulty by changing what kind of dice they rolled. So if they roll a d20, obviously they have a less chance of summoning the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like if they had if you gave them what the lowest die was, it would also kind of explain what the number was going to be. Although I guess it wouldn't matter if they knew what the number was.
Yeah.
Like maybe the number would just be 1. Like if you just roll a critical failure, but your chances of doing it on smaller dice. So if you had like a difficult action, you were trying to perform a difficult action, you might have a caltrop. You might have just a d4. And so
that would be really interesting.
So your probability of failing is going to be a lot higher than on a d20. But if you have easy actions, maybe it's on a d20. And I see like, depending on how far in you are, you have like X number of times. Like the first time that triggers, the Spanish Inquisition comes to the door, and now you have to negotiate that. And that's almost like a kind of that's almost like a combat, but maybe a combat with like words. Like the Spanish Inquisition sits you down and asks you about the choices that you've made up to that point, and you have to try and justify it. So
that would be so cool.
So then it's almost like it's almost like a combat, but done totally as a social skills kind of combat round that you do.
Yeah.
But as it triggers over and over again, the thresholds to do it become harder and harder until eventually the Spanish Inquisition deems you heretics and takes you away. And then you could always try to figure out how to break out of jail. But again, even when you're doing that, you'd be rolling hard rolls, and you could trigger the Spanish Inquisition to show up again while you're trying to break out of jail, and it becomes incredibly hard to justify what you're doing. It would be...
How do you manage to escape prison 17 times by convincing the 17 guards in front of you? Well, it turns out they're dumbasses.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, if you wanted to be really meta on that, because of course it's going to be, is if you could try and use resources that you've gotten to make the lower dies actually disappear from your dice pool. So like if you could bribe the guards and then all of a sudden the d4 goes away and it's no longer an option. Now the d6 is the lowest die that you could
would be
have to
interesting.
roll. Wouldn't that be interesting? Like it's so meta that the actual dice that you use, the actual mechanics themselves change if your characters manipulate them in the correct way. It makes it easier for them. And I'm thinking that like when it gets down to combat rules, that critical successes would then also help you out or could mitigate the situations in some way.
Right.
That's an interesting thought process.
Man, I'm already working on one system. You're gonna make me start working on another one, aren't you?
I feel like this is pretty much a system you could write in a day, and probably when you're only half focusing on it. Honestly, I think the Spanish Inquisition as a game, we pretty much just wrote it. I think we pretty much just figured out the entire game.
Yeah.
We could probably
That's
play
cool.
it tomorrow at this point. But yeah, no, I was just thinking about that, like, because since rolling dice is randomized anyway, and you don't know what to expect, it is sort of like the Spanish Inquisition every time you go to roll a die, because no one expects the critical failure, and when it happens, you're not happy at all. But if there was a physical thing in game that was supposed to trigger when you hit a critical failure, that would be something.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm almost thinking like at the start, it would be like a 3-strike thing, or or that there would be like a thing where if you ended up with critical successes on your dice, it could eliminate some of your critical failures, but I'm not sure. It might just be a straight, either you do something real good. Like I think Yeah, because you could manipulate that. You'd be like, I'm going to do hard rolls because it's also very likely that I get critical successes on those.
Right.
But if
It
you
can
said,
be like you could have set dice pools for certain things, and you could choose to roll harder
yeah,
and accept the risks
right,
of summoning the Spanish Inquisition, but at
right,
the same time, your chances are better that you're going to do something really awesome.
right. I think the simplified notion of it is you have like a 3 hits at the beginning, like you hit 3 ones, and that's the first time the Spanish Inquisition shows up. 2 for the second one and like 1 for the one after that. And that's pretty much like imagine 10 candles, but instead of candles going out, it's critical failures. And so
Yeah.
and that's kind of what happens. But I'm thinking that what might happen is if you end up getting successes, you get like critical successes that it allows you to achieve something and maybe get a bonus to what you achieved. You get
Right.
something a little bit extra. On harder rolls, it might not be as much. Or on easier rolls, I should say, it might not be as much. But on harder rolls...
Maybe on the easier ones, it's less, but on the harder ones, it's like... It could be like sort of
more
like the
rewarding, yeah.
Ponche system.
Yeah.
I'm not pronouncing that right at all. I know I'm not. And like... with like gunslinger classes and some things where if like you opt to make things more difficult for yourself, you get a little bit of a bonus in the future that you can use. Panache.
Panache. Okay. Okay.
I
I'm
was
not
trying to
familiar
figure out
with
what
that
word
one,
you were
yeah.
saying.
But yeah, I don't know if I'm familiar with that system. What's the panache system?
The one I'm familiar with
Grit?
it is grit, panache. The one I'm familiar with is from Pathfinder.
Okay.
But I know they use it in other systems. I know they have an add-on for Dungeons and Dragons that you can use it, and I've seen it in a lot of like Western style systems where it's like, oh,
okay.
you're a gunslinger. If you make things tough on yourself, if you have a little bit of grit here, we'll give you a little bit of a bonus later, type of deal.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
That might be cool.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like if you were to get successes, that there should, like, if you get critical successes, there should be, you should get something for that. Like there's probably a lot of middle ground where it's just basically, did I roll pretty good or did I roll pretty bad, and that might tell you how good you tended to do in this scenario. But if you like roll the highest on evaluation,
It's automatic.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I can totally see, like, if you're saying, I'm gonna try to do something hard, and you roll your D4 for something
We need to go up this building. I'm going to climb up it.
I'm
Forget
Spider-Man.
the elevator.
Yes, I am Spider-Man. I am climbing up the side of the building. Okay, well, we roll the D4, and I happen to roll a D4, and I get a 4. I'm literally rolling a D4 and got a 4. I'm guessing that I do that, and there's probably no issue with it, and we're all very impressed. But it's also it's also incredibly likely that you roll a critical failure on that.
Yeah,
so
you have like a 25% chance.
You're really going to have to. You're gonna have to hope beyond all hope, and I would imagine even like a 2 or a 3 on that is a bit mixed. Like you don't get up the entire building. Like I'd say like a 4, you make it up the entire building, and we're done. But like on a 2 and 3, you only get part of the way, and you might have to.
And on a 1,
Spanish Inquisition.
And on a 1, the Spanish Inquisition shows up and goes, "Why are you jumping at the building with your arms outstretched like Superman?" And you have to you have to quantify that for some reason.
And I imagine that the thing I'm thinking about right now is an image of you climbing like halfway up the building, and then out of the window of skyscraper, the Spanish Inquisition comes out and yells, "No one expects the Spanish Inquisition," while you're climbing up the building, and you're like, you know what? That's accurate. I did not think that was going to happen right now.
Yeah.
You get pulled into the building, and your descent Yeah, because
That would be so awesome.
because even at the beginning, if you needed to hit 3 failures, it's very likely that before you got to the top of the building, you would have gotten there.
Yeah.
You could have easily hit that by then. Yeah, I keep hitting. I love this caltrop. It just keeps giving me 3s and 4s every time I roll it. That's awesome.
You must have a pretty good one.
Yeah, this must be.
You
weird.
know that dice aren't perfectly random. They have they always have end up having slight imperfections in the dice, so they're skewed just slightly towards certain numbers.
Yeah.
I've always wanted one that's a D20 skewed to a D20. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it would. I don't think mine are particularly weighted in any particular way. Although I have heard some people though that like they have lucky dice. They literally like, oh, this is the die that I keep getting failures on. That one goes to the fridge. That goes to a bin, and then we never bring it out again. There are some people that are superstitious about that. Maybe there is something like mechanically sound to that. Like if I pull out a die, and it keeps giving me failures, maybe it's time to use a different die, because this one's obviously defective. It cannot be just random happenstance. It has to be because of a reason. How many D20s get abandoned because of that?
Yeah. I know it's more obvious with metal dice. I'm not sure how it works with plastic.
Okay.
So
yeah, I kind of wanted a set of metal dice. I don't have any. Mine are all like acrylic.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
They're really nice, but I've never been able to save up enough money to get them. Too busy spending them on cheap dice because I keep losing mine.
See, I see a ton on Wish that are not particularly expensive. But I don't really know how good the quality is. You know, the one problem with Wish is like sometimes I'll find good deals on it, but it's kind of a crapshoot. Like, is it going to be any good? And like with dice, it's kind of important that they're pretty good. So I'm not sure. But usually when I start seeing, that's where user reviews are really helpful. Because when people get them and they're going, oh no, these look great, and they give pictures, it's like, oh, okay. Well, assuming they send me what they told me they were going to send me. I have had 1 or 2 cases where it was like, nope, that's not the color I ordered. That's not the color I ordered.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you can send it back, but it's return shipping to like China. It's gonna cost cost me more than it cost for the product to send it back. Yeah. No, I guess I'll just keep it and find someone who wants it. Just not worth it. I'm gonna lose money by the time I return it. So.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave you all now. It's getting late, and I have to be
no.
up tomorrow morning. But I will keep you in my hearts, and I will definitely listen to the end of the live stream tomorrow if I get the opportunity.
Okay. Well, fine.
Have a good night.
Be that way.
I will. You too.
Don't die.
Oh, all right. So, James has given us a couple ideas for new. Everybody's pitched in for some new shows, so that's good. I could only come up with so many. Yeah.
You already got the spelunking. That was my first idea, and then I went, they already got the spelunking.
Yeah. There was a point. I think there was a point early on where we were thinking about like what happens when we stop talking about basic mechanics and we start getting into like more minute mechanics. And that's when Alex was like, maybe call that delving deeper. And I was like, maybe we call it spelunking. Because it feels yeah.
I would say delve deeper is the on-brand version, and
yeah,
spelunking is the better. Delve deeper, they're talking like delve deeper, spelunking into the depths of game mechanics.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I thought that would be interesting, but also like it's hard enough to try and like when you say, well, the podcast is called Delve, and people are like going, what the hell does that mean? And, like spelunking is going to be like, do you do like cave diving on your show? It would make sense, but that's not what we do. It was a nice try. Um, which is always why like you need like a catchphrase, and which is better than in Soviet Russia mechanics play you. Although now I really wish that was our catchphrase. Wish that was
To
just
be
a
fair,
phrase.
it's a good catchphrase.
It's a good catchphrase, really is. Um, so okay,
I do enjoy storytelling with benefits on the
yeah,
most recent one.
I thought that works pretty well. That's a good piece of cover art. I'll take it. It's the best I'm gonna do tonight. So I'm gonna take it. Um, going back for a minute though, we hadn't really discussed no dice, because I actually like when you suggested that, DC. I was like,
Uh-huh.
part of me is like, I'm actually wondering, that's kind of a psychological experiment, and I'm there for it. I think that's a
Right.
real. I keep wondering, like, do people's personal like self-worth go into what they think they would have rolled, like, or your perception of your character? I keep wondering these things. Like, my character's really not that good at it. It probably fails. Like,
Right.
I keep wondering. My natural inclination is that the players would always favor the best opportunity for their characters. But if you get some serious role players who like study Shakespeare or possibly Tolstoy, it could really go badly, worse than
Oh,
if
yeah.
it was randomized. So I don't know. Thoughts on that? Like, what's the most likely outcome?
I don't know. If someone makes it through a Tolstoy novel, they deserve whatever they say they get. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, those Russian novels are, I know they're big and complex and deep, and also really freaking long and hard to get through. As much as I would love to read some Brothers Karamazov, I'm not going to. I am not going to. I can't do War and Peace. It's a great
No,
paperweight.
I tried the audio book version of the Brother Karamazov,
Yeah.
and I couldn't listen to it past a few hours worth because I'm like,
Yeah.
you're I don't know what it is, but it sounds like you're saying the same thing a lot, and I'm not sure the point anymore.
I get the feeling that that's a very
But then maybe I'm bad at literature, so
No, I think it is a stylistic thing. It feels like there's a certain there's a repetition to storytelling. Like, and I feel like there's the impression I got, and one of the reasons why I think that a lot of those novels are so long is because there's a certain air of entropy that comes along with it. So when you start to like see things repeat, it's about like the actual repetition that the story is trying to exemplify in some way. That there are these patterns that go in cycles, and I don't really know. I felt like it was just like a long slog to the end, and maybe that was the point. Sometimes I wonder if like War and Peace was as long as it was because it needed you to feel like you were going on as long and hard a journey as the characters that are inside the book. Like, you have to go on that journey by reading the book. You have been through the epic journey for the fact that you read it. But endurance challenges through literature are really not my bag. So I kind of have to steer clear of the Chekhovs and the Dostoevskys and the and the Tolstoys of the world. I I'm not that depressed, and I don't want to be more depressed.
I almost beat this boss. Okay.
And you know what? I just realized that, Tolstoy is sort of the literary equivalent of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
I'm just really glad you didn't say Dark Souls, but I still want to stab you. So I think your goal was accomplished. Well done.
Yes. Good. Yeah.
But going back to what you're talking about, the no dice concept. Yeah, I'm just like, what's kind of a weird meta-ish thing I can do that would be game related and like, oh, take away the dice.
And you know what? That's a great idea too. You'd have it's a mechanics. It's like, imagine if you had a game that literally had no mechanics. That you take the mechanics out of the game. You'd basically just be doing a storytelling exercise, but at the same time, maybe combat would be amazing. Combat would be something else, especially trying to figure out damage. How do you figure? Spellcasters are gonna have the hardest time if we're using a D&D system. All right, my spell does 8d6. The first roll is 4, and then I guess 2, and then, like, we're gonna be here for a while.
Yeah, I imagine there would be like 50 pages on, if you're the GM, DM, whatever you want to call it, of just how to make sure your players are using a random number generator in their heads. Yeah,
exactly. We have to tune your brain to be the actual computing unit that randomizes things. Yeah, I think that there is a system you could probably build that's based around, like, rock, paper, scissors to determine success. And because I can see, like, if two people working as, like, separate consciousnesses determine successes or failures, that might work. You know, that might work. Even if it's your teammates. Like, okay, do you succeed? I don't know. You choose a member of your party and you do rock, paper, scissors, and if you win the rock, paper, scissors, then you succeed, and if you fail, you fail. Because it's still a 50-50 odds, technically. You know, you're just as likely to succeed as fail. And it's really like a 1 in 3. No, it's a 50-50. Yeah, it's a 50-50 chance. Or a neutral. You keep just throwing the same thing over and over again. That wouldn't require dice. You could get away with it that way. Problem would be modifiers. Like, how do I modify a rock, paper, scissors? That's a problem.
But, you know, the ultimate goal was creating something weird that people had to pay $1,500 to access.
Yes. Yeah, and it certainly is.
I feel like we're delivering on that.
Yeah, This is, well, you know, I think just as in the interest of fairness, the basic Delve Prime could probably get a lot of these podcasts. Not necessarily the elite level. The elite level, I feel, is like all the live service stuff. And I'm sure I can come up with more live service stupid things that I can come up with. I had a lot of fun. Custom Delve skins for your favorite Renaissance sculptures. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Wait for it. I can make that happen. Oh, yeah. I was and really, every time people are like, look at all the stuff you get, I'm like, it's probably that stupid. It's probably that pointless. We became Fortnite, but for podcasting. Enjoy. Here's some skins.
You are, in fact, the Fortnite of podcasting. That's an accomplishment you should be proud of.
You know what? I would so enjoy being the Fortnite of podcasting. Can you imagine 8 hours of Ninja just listening to the podcast? That is quality entertainment. 100,000 people tuning in live to watch that. I could totally see it. Totally see it. Yeah, like a lot of I just, the case against Corey Gated is a series I actually now want to do. cereal box was just a fun idea. I was like, it's gonna be fun. And
So now I'm like, what would a Michelangelo with a Delve skin, Michelangelo's David with a Delve skin look like?
yeah, well, you don't have to worry about it anymore
Yeah.
because I made it for you. I do not worry. That burning question has been finally answered for anyone who was like, I wonder what Michelangelo's David with a Delve skin. Don't worry, got you covered, boo. I have got you covered. If Borderlands 3 can give me guns with legs, I can give you a David with a Delve logo on it. Anything is possible. In this world, anything is possible. Man, yeah, no, that's a part of me still.
Everything is possible.
I realized though that the next thing is, should I actually just I practically filmed half of it. Should I just make the rest of the Bare Naked Ladies documentary? Should that just be a series? Would anyone watch it?
I have to admit, I really enjoyed that. That was
Thanks. I was sitting there like thinking to myself, yeah, I guess I gotta try and actually film this as a thing. Because it's gonna be that moment where it's like, yep, Nathan went completely off the rails. He's just gonna start filming a documentary. And it gave me one last chance to throw Alex under the bus for that bear incident of his. Now he gets to feel bad again. I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, he should, because now that he knows that he screwed up Bare Naked Ladies tour, he should feel especially bad about his bear incident. But, I'm sure the bear feels pretty bad, too. But that was the longest running joke for us afterward. It's like every time Alex had a problem, it's like it was probably that damn bear. It is. Absolutely. We had an interview scheduled that night, and we were talking to Adam Smith, and so like Adam and I are just waiting for Alex, and and Alex says, "Hey, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it tonight. I hit a bear and on the road," and we're like, "Oh well." We're in a room together, so Alex, expect about 700 bear puns right now. It's happening at your expense. And in the meantime, he's going through this very real thing where his car is wrecked. A black bear has just hit his car.
Oh, man.
Or I should say his car hits a black bear. And
tough to say what the real difference is there.
Yeah.
They're about the same mass in the end.
Yeah, and his car is gone. Of course, so is the bear. The bear did not make it through that incident, but neither did the car. And so we had determined past that bears are Alex's natural enemy, and his natural car's enemy at that point too. So I like to keep expanding the lore whenever possible. It's the reason why he didn't want to tell me when we were doing an interview with the guy who made Hibernation, because he was like, we got into a room. He's like, "Are you able to do an interview?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I can do an interview." And this guy comes in and it's like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" "Great. Alex didn't tell me anything about the game that you made or anything." And he's like, "No, Nathan, it's a surprise. Just start the show. Just start the show, and we'll tell you when it becomes applicable." All right. And so I'm starting the show, and I'm like, "Hi, we have this guy. Can you tell us about the game?" "Yeah, it's called Hibernation. You play a bear, and and you have to get enough food for winter." And I'm just flipping out with glee that this is happening right now. It is the greatest thing ever. So So, and that's the reason why we want to call the our brainstem storming session Bear Tank, because it's like Shark Tank, but we own the bear thing now.
Right.
It's just bears.
I mean, it's New Hampshire, so it makes sense.
It's New Hampshire. There are bears around. Bears are everywhere.
If you didn't know bears were in New Hampshire, you know now.
Yes, it's a learning experience for everyone. There are bears, mostly black bears, mostly black bears. Don't see a lot of the browns. And you,
Thankfully,
yeah,
there was a brief period of time where my wife had believed there is some type of bear in our yard that was just existing in our relative area.
yeah.
Thankfully, we determined it was not, and
What was it? Did you ever figure out what it was?
either a deer or incredibly strong winds that caused whatever we were seeing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I've had incidents where, like, my trees, I've tried planting trees, and my trees just get, like, snapped in half. But I know that that's not a bear, that's a deer. That's a deer coming through my yard and going, ooh, this looks like it's delicious, and then just, like, accidentally snapping things off. I know that that's what's happening. But, I mean, I've had times where I saw moose in town, and just, like, in daylight, I was so surprised. I was going to go to a meeting back when I was a reporter. I leave my house. I'm in the middle of the village. And it's like light outside. It's like 4 o'clock and summer. And a freaking moose is just walking through. It looked like the opening scene of Northern Exposure. It's literally the moose is just walking across the street where the town offices are, and just like completely oblivious to anyone at all. They're brazen, and they're dangerous, and they're stupid. I don't
The wild north of New Hampshire.
That's right. Yeah, I was never a fan of moose. They are realistically far more dangerous than a bear. I think I'd much rather see a bear if I'm walking in the woods than a moose. Because a bear's probably...
Yeah, the moose are irrationally aggressive.
Yeah, especially during rutting season. The moose is just in heat, and it will charge anything at all. A bear, especially like black bears, mostly don't want to deal with you. They mostly just want to avoid you and anything that you have to offer. But a moose doesn't give a damn. A moose doesn't care. They are really strange animals. They're big, lanky, heavy.
They stopped giving a fucking the era they evolved.
Yeah, they really they're one of the stupidest animals I've ever seen. They're really, I do not know what to do with those things. But they're a menace. We should do something about the moose. What can we do about the moose? Yeah, no, I'm not a moose. We're not gonna make Moose Tank. It's gonna have to be Bear Tank. I've never seen, I don't think I've ever seen, brown bears up here. I don't think I've ever seen a brown bear. And I definitely haven't seen a grizzly. Yeah, we're a little bit away from that.
Yes!
Yeah. Did you just run into a grizzly bear in Sekiro?
Sorry. I killed something. I killed the first, boss that I've ever killed.
Ever in your life? Or in the game?
In the game.
Okay, fair enough.
No, in real life I've killed plenty of bosses, it's fine.
Well, sometimes they just get overbearing, and you gotta do something. That's the ending of Office Space I wish we got.
Death of the boss?
Yeah, just kill off the bosses. Gary Cole had it coming. In basically every role he plays. I feel like that would have been a better ending to Office Space. and it worked out okay for what's his name. I like that guy too. What was Stephen Root's character? Now I can't remember his name. Milton. That's right. Milton ended up in good shape. Oh man. Office Space would be a great game. No, it's not. What am I saying? That would be the most boring game ever.
You never know what's truly boring until you bore yourself to death. Then you're dead.
And you know, that's how you actually killed the bosses, right? You just bored them to death. Like, for legal purposes, we'll just say that. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, there's no actual admittance of murder here. It's fine.
We're all good. That's interesting. Huh. Totally.
So of course, I had to see if someone actually made one. So.
Oh, okay.
An Office Space game. So,
Yeah, you are a disgruntled employee in attack and layoffs are imminent. You need to get a fire plan of Peter, Severe, and Michael to install a virus in the mainframe. That will... So it's the plot of the movie.
pretty much.
Basically, the plot of the movie. Great. That's terrific.
Oh, hey, you're a bitch. Fuck you.
And how he got fired from his job.
It was one knife.
Yeah.
Multiple stabs, but one knife.
Yeah. Going back, because I want to make sure that we're completionists here.
Okay.
Different paint strokes. I had imagined that as a video series, so I made a YouTube cover from it. I like that because it turns the drying of paint into a race. And I feel like that's what it needs. Paint drying really needed more NASCAR in it. And I feel like we finally got there. So I feel like this has some serious potential. Can you imagine the commentary that can be going on like that? Magenta pulling into the lead. Oh, Red's behind. Oh, is it in attacky phase? Let's check. Like, I feel like there's a real...
Then you have all these weird, super complex instrument to measure how much the paint has dried in each one.
Yeah. They have to have, like, an infrared scanner and stuff. And it's like, with amazing tacky tech, we could just test the paint to see if it sticks to the tip of the toothpick, it's not completely dried. You have to determine the amount of, like, the water content of all of them, and they have to be in certain regulations. I feel like there's this whole what was I thinking of it as? The paint drying standards and practices board has like a certain level. And my God, I feel there's probably a giant instruction manual for it too. I feel like...
They're like, what's the most boring thing we could add to something where people would pay $1,500 for the privilege of getting to see this thing?
And on this week's episode, special guests, the slow-mo guys. Slow-mo guys come on in and show us the slow-mo paint with the phantom camera. It's even slower now. We get to watch the individual droplets.
It's just a splat in the end.
Yeah. How long can we actually get this out for? It's a 17 hours of content we've made. Thanks.
There's a temperature gauge in the room so everyone knows you're playing fair.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that there's a certain point at which this no longer is entertainment and it's really just a MoMA installation where we've literally just gotten to the part where you just put a screen up at the museum and they're just like, oh my god, this is like postmodernism. No, we've gone past postmodernism. It's just pre-postmodernism. It's just where can we go from here?
Past, future, perfect modernism.
Yes, that is absolutely oh my god, that is just a yeah. Sponsored by Sherwin-Williams. I feel like then it's industrial art though. If we
You know what's amazing? You
Mhm.
just got a few minutes of content out of paint drying
Yeah, that's
on a
great.
podcast.
That's pretty
So-
great. And trust me, we're gonna milk it for all we can. And since we've already gone over James' suggestions in more detail, yeah, Paul, cast. I saw that and I was like, I think I understand it enough to make a stupid cover for it, but I had so many questions. Like, for instance, are we casting people in plaster or metal?
So the original thought was plaster because it's a little quicker, and there's
Yeah.
a slightly higher chance that everyone survives.
Yeah.
Mind you, there's no we're not actually intending for anyone to survive, but we can pretend like that's in the contract.
This is the most dangerous podcast in history.
Oh yes, no, it goes. Basically, the idea is you go backwards from amount of influence and exposure to the podcast. So you go with that one guest that appeared once and kind of badmouthed it to that, and going backwards from there.
Yes.
Eventually, both of you just get into cast, and we stop caring. We don't have to worry about it. Essentially, it's got to be a high enough tier of subscription so that it's worth you guys dying.
Oh, okay. That's that. You know what? At that point, I don't really feel so tongue in cheek about charging $1,500 for the service anymore. I feel like maybe this is fine.
There's an actual lethal component to this, and
yeah.
The real trick is getting more and more people involved in the podcast to extend the life of it, and therefore your own life.
Yeah, exactly.
In a not so meta way, tying your lives to the podcast.
Yes, in actual way. That feels like. Have you ever watched the movie Stranger Than Fiction?
No.
No? So Stranger Than Fiction was actually a really good movie. I liked it a lot, and it starred Will Ferrell in a role that was not quite as corny as some of his other movies, but it starred Will Ferrell and Emma Thompson, and oh god, who else was in it? I think Dustin Hoffman was in it. The concept behind Stranger Than Fiction was, one day this guy, he's a very average guy. There's nothing particularly remarkable about him, and he goes to his job at an office building every single day. He has his briefcase, and he goes to work, and he has a routine he does every single day. One day he wakes up, and there's a narrator that is narrating stuff that he's doing. And he's curious about that. He doesn't really understand why somebody is narrating his life. And this is perplexing him. And on his way to work, the narrator explains, little did he know that he would soon die. And all of a sudden, Will Ferrell's character gets quite worried about this voice that he is now hearing. The overall story ends up being about Emma Thompson being this kind of reclusive writer. And she is actually writing a book. And it turns out that the character that she wrote in her book, that she's writing right now, is actually him. She named him this. She named her character the same person. It's basically, without realizing it, the character in her story is literally him, without her knowing. And so this is why when she's typing out this story, he's hearing her voice in his head, basically narrating the story as he's going through it. And this really meta kind of movie leads him to realize that, okay, he's got to track this woman down. And he goes to like his old English professor, and that's Dustin Hoffman, if I remember correctly. And he's trying to explain like, oh yeah, no, she's a great author, but you're going to be in trouble because no, all of her books are tragedies; they're not comedies. So the characters die in the end in her book.
Tragedy versus comedy is really just where are you from? Because if you're in a Russian comedy, you just die happy.
In Soviet Russia, comedy eats you. Yeah, no. The whole idea is like, art. No, your character, their characters die. Like he's explaining this, and he's like, oh my god, I gotta track this woman down. like he's thinking to himself, oh my god, I gotta track this woman down. You can't kill me off. Like, this is my actual life. In this process, I think Zooey Deschanel is like the girl at the coffee house, because that's a game. She always plays the girl at the coffee house, but she's like a girl that he runs into, and now that he's worried that he's going to die, he's never been able to work up the courage to ask her out, and now he's like, oh, I you know what, I'm gonna go for it. So now he starts like taking risks because he's starting to think that like his life has lost a lot of meaning. He but there's this point in the movie that is really cool where she knows that the logical conclusion to this story is that he dies. And that's what she wants to write and submit, basically. And she doesn't really know how to get around that, even knowing that this is a real person. And he reads it. He, like, reads the story about his life, and he's like, yeah, this is really good. Yeah, I guess he kind of has to die. Like, he like, even he's kind of like, the art is almost more important than my life at that point. And so he's kind of accepted the fact that on that fateful day, he is supposed to step out without realizing that a bus is headed toward him, and the bus is going to hit him, and he's going to die. And he's just come to that conclusion. He's built himself up to that point where it's like, okay, well, I have to do this for the story. This is the logical conclusion to the story. It's the only thing that makes sense. And when he goes to do it, at the end, the bus stops short and doesn't hit him because she had changed the ending to the story. And his writing professor says, the book is not nearly as good by making that change. And her response is pretty much like, oh, I know, but I think I found something more important, because she knew that she wanted him to live, even though the book was going to suffer and the character arc didn't make as much sense, that he was more valuable than her art, even though he had already resigned himself to the fact that the art was more important than he was. So it was a really interesting movie that I think fell by the wayside, because a lot of people were like, this is not like a typical role for Will Ferrell, if you're familiar with him from like Talladega Nights, but it was surprisingly good and well executed and interesting, because it spoke so much about the value of people's lives and the value of art inside of them and what happens when the two of them intertwine. So it's a good watch. It's an interesting one. It's made to be mostly a comedy, but it's got some really interesting, thought-provoking stuff in it that you're probably not expecting when you pick it up and tune into it. So yeah. So when you're talking about cast, I feel like that's also a story about the nature of humanity and art and the relationship therein, and almost a meta commentary, but in the most extreme way. Because none of us survive, basically, at the end of it. I get an impression that Paul is probably trying very desperately to beat a giant snake. And that's why he's not going to respond back. I'm just getting a random impression that that's what's happening. Either that or he stepped away without me knowing, and I'm going to have to explain this whole thing to him when he comes back. And I can't do any better. Sorry, Paul, just listen to it again. Just go watch the movie. And then I don't have to explain it again. When did that actually... I'm trying to think. Like, that was... It feels like that was not that long ago, but man, it's got to be a little while. It was... Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that was 2006. Wow, okay, yeah, no, that is a long time ago. Emma Thompson, Dustin Hoffman, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Maggie Gyllenhaal was the love interest in that one. I was thinking Elf. That's why I thought of Zooey Deschanel.
Oh, right.
That's why I thought. Highly rated. I will also say Roger Ebert had given it like 3.5 out of 4 stars. And it was what was it? It was Mark Forster. It's what had he said about it? It's Charlie Kaufman light, is how they try to explain it. It's very much in that very, very like esoteric kind of way. It's trying to do something a little bit like that. Yeah, he's an IRS auditor. That's right. A mentally unstable IRS auditor who starts hearing an author's voice in his head, discovers that he is the ill-fated protagonist of her latest work, and Queen Latifah is trying to cure her of her writer's block at the same time. And the auditor and the professor, Dustin Hoffman, set out to find the woman and make her change her story. Yeah, so that's the upshot of it. Yes, it is a really interesting movie. If you're out there and you heard that, it's worth looking up. It's probably very, very cheap to buy. Oh, hey, it's free on Crackle, folks, apparently. You can watch it on Crackle or Vudu right now. There you go. And you can buy it on YouTube for like $4. Or iTunes. It's not hard. 3 on Prime. There you go. They have the listings right there. But yeah, it's good times. It was highly ranked. People by and large loved that movie, and if you had not seen it the first time around, I recommend checking it out. It was a surprise, if nothing else. But yeah, no, it speaks greatly. The reason I like it so much was because it did indeed speak a lot to the nature of art versus the human condition, and what that actually means. How important is art and to our lives and to society versus the individual. Maybe I was reading way too much into it, but but at the same time, I don't think I was. I think that was the intent behind it.
Right, and on the other sort of side of the genre spectrum, anyway, did you ever see 1 Hour Photo? Williams.
With Robin Williams. I had not watched that because I was like, wow, that seemed like such an out of left field performance from Robin Williams, and I was like, I don't know if I'm up for for that version of Robin Williams, because I know when he does serious work, he was so good at being a serious actor. But when I was like, oh, he's like the villain of this piece, I was like, I don't know. It sounded really almost terrifying, actually.
Yeah, it's a creepy movie, and yeah, he's not a well-adjusted man, but
No.
The weird sort of observations of he sees a lot of people's photographs working at a photo lab, and that sort of observation of life through this kind of weirdly personal art really kind of comes through here. And
yeah. No, I remember the idea behind it. Yeah, like he gets so personally attached to people through the photos. Like the photos teach him about their lives, and then he feels sort of like he's part of it, like he's actually inside of it.
yeah, and there's a line that always kind of stuck with me in there is that it was it was more the idea. I can't remember quite the line, but it was always that you're in a family photograph. Everyone's always smiling. Nobody's sad. You know, was that idea is that you smile for the picture, but that's not really your life.
Right. It's that version of life that you want people to see. Yeah. There was another movie, the other one that I thought was kind of interesting. I did see this one. I do remember this one. And it was one that he did very soon after that, called The Final Cut. If you saw that one, that was Robin. Yeah, that was Robin Williams. And
yeah, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that was really interesting too. It's kind of similar. He's not so much the outright villain of the piece, but the idea of that was that it was sort of in the future, and microchips are inside people's heads and it records your experiences. When you die, all of your collected memories go to a cutter, which is what he played. And the cutter basically edits the footage of your life so that it can be presented at your funeral. And so he's known as this really brilliant one and can see the best parts. But when you start to see the dark side of that, where he also sees the worst things in people's lives, and he knows that really he's the only one that's going to see it. It does affect him because he understands more about people than anyone else will, and especially about individuals than anybody else will, because those people are dead. And so the thing that happens toward the end is that he also has sort of like this artistic idea. In those memories, sometimes there's these fragments, because when you're dreaming, the actual memory gets looped in, and suddenly like there are bubbles and there are like fantastical things that like infuse into the memories, and people don't really know about any of that. And he likes it, and he's done things like try to cut them together, mostly for himself. And like when they discover that, then it feels like an actual invasion of privacy. But it's like, but you do realize you put a microchip in your head to record everything you do. So so then there's that whole thing like, oh God, what have we done? It was a really interesting kind of version of a dystopia. What was the? Let me just see if I can read the synopsis. In the future, microchips in people's heads record their experiences. Alan Hackman, a cutter, edits footage from immoral dead people into pleasing narratives. Oh yes, he's so good. That's right. He's so good that they give him like some of the worst people, because
Oh.
he's going because he's going to be able to do something with it. Alan is troubled by childhood memories and has a difficult relationship with a bookstore clerk, which is Miro Sorvino. Fletcher, James Caviezel, an ex-cutter, offers him $500,000 for footage of a prominent technology manager. He refuses, but when he tries to destroy the footage, he learns a dark secret about him. So that was the other theme that was running through that particular movie, the idea of, well, there's all this footage of us, and it's in somebody's hands, and could those people be for sale? And would it mean that it could be evidence used against us? Sekiro has officially killed Drunk Paul. Just for the record. Paul has left the building. Paul's internet connection has died twice. Sekiro, internets die twice. Enjoy. Anyway, the Final Cut, if you liked 1 Hour Photo, then Final Cut will also probably be a pretty good thing. An interesting thriller. The Final Cut, 2004, and I don't really know if it's available anywhere. No, I mean, it's on DVD and such, and it's not much, actually. Yeah, it's there. But yeah, no, those interesting meta commentaries are fun. Of course, that did not score nearly as high. I remember it being fun, though. It was an interesting thing. But yeah, no, Stranger Than Fiction definitely was a good one. Worth your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are some things. Yeah, 1 Hour Photo was just one of those that I was like, I don't know. I mean, I love Robin Williams, and it's kind of the reason I didn't want to watch that film.
Oh yeah, it's an uneasy performance. Don't get me wrong. He's not, like I said, he's not necessarily well adjusted in any terms, but it does have this weird reflection on art and taking photographs at the same time.
Yeah.
And
No, it's I know. It was a dichotomy about him, is that he was always so funny and so off the wall, but then when you got him in a serious performance, it was devastating how good he was at pulling in amazing dramatic performances. So I knew from the second I started seeing stuff about that, it's like, oh, he is going to really wreck me if I watch that movie. I do not know what I'm going to do with that information. Because I know he's going to be incredibly convincing, but in the worst possible way. So I did not come out for that. But yeah, who knows? Maybe one day I will be willing to go there. I'm not sure. It feels a teeny bit too heavy for me. But that had Gary Cole in it too.
Yeah.
Man, Gary Cole always gets into these movies. He was in The Office Space. He was one of your hit targets in Hitman. He's everywhere. Maybe was it him or Gary Busey? Oh, I think eventually it was both of them. He was eventually both of them. Michael Vartan, Connie Nielsen. Yeah, good cast. Yeah. I do like those movies that are that discuss the nature of art in people's lives. And sometimes the negative consequences of such things. Yeah. No, that's a good thing to know. All right. So the one other thing I wanted to mention beforehand, I was talking about it when I was just speaking to myself into the void.
Mm-hmm.
So you had you had given me something to think about when you posted about a certain game called Lovers of Ether.
Oh.
I hemmed and hawed about that, and I'm kind of thinking maybe just because why not? Maybe next week I'll attempt to do that one on a live stream because it looks like it's only a few hours anyway, so it's not going to be a huge time sink, and I'll just come and just poke in, and everyone can talk. Everyone can talk my ear off about what romance choices I should make in this crazy April Fool's Day game that they built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's psychological horror based on just the
video by itself. I was like, okay, I think I get the tone. I think I get the tone of this thing. I watched the video and I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is so tongue in cheek. I see why they put this out on like April 1st. They knew. They knew. This is silly. Oh, but you know what? Maybe I'm up for it. Around this time of year, it does feel like I am almost duty bound to play an anime-inspired dating simulator. And if it's something I'm able to play on my computer and I so meet the requirements for it, I guess if since we were just talking about the nature of the individual versus the art, I guess I can sacrifice some of my time for the art of watching me suffer through playing this game. I feel like that's the only correct response to have. So I'll probably be doing that. So hey, everybody, look forward to me getting so frustrated. It's 3 hours of watching Nathan in agony. If you watched me play Doki Doki Literature Club, you know what that is.
Please tune in.
Please tune in because yeah. Hopefully it's not a 9-hour experience like that was. But
the thrills, the chills, actual crying on stream.
Yeah, exactly. Watch as I have red streaks in my eyes as blood starts pouring out of them in terror. But no, I think this time I'll probably actually just get into chat, and if people just want to try and talk to me about my options, we could just have a dialogue about that, because it's going to make it way more fun for me anyway.
An interactive suffering of all
an
through
interactive
you.
suffering. Enjoy, everybody. We're all going to suffer through this together. Oh my god, should I date the orca whale or the werewolf guy? I don't know. So many choices. Anyway, so stay tuned for that. I'll probably try to announce that at a later time. Probably going to be next week. I want to do it while it's fresh in people's minds. It just came out this month. It'd be a fun time. I've already downloaded it. Don't think I didn't already download it. I did.
Well, if you're gonna suffer, you might as well suffer with others. And
yeah, I'm planning on it. It's man, somebody's going to enjoy it. Might not be me, but somebody's going to enjoy it. Oh god. Okay, so look forward to that suffrage, and I am going to I'm gonna bring our Delve primer to a close for the evening, and I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Of course, thank you, DC, for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes,
always a pleasure.
And also thanks to James and Paul who stopped by, and no thanks to Alex. I know that he's been on. I know that he's been active once or twice, but has probably still forgotten completely that we were doing this tonight. So hey, whatever. We'll tell him about it later. He'll be. I know that he'll be up for watching me suffer through an anime game. So we'll probably see him next week. Look forward to that. Alright, and so for everyone here on Delve, thank you for joining us for this episode of Delve Live, and expect us back the first Saturday of next month, whatever day that may be. It's in May, the first Saturday in May, same bat time, same bat channel. Alright, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye!